Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, droids of all ages, it is with sadness that we come to the season finale of Season 1 of Fantasy TV, season finale of Season 2 of The Mando. Let's just get right into the scores. I'm joined here with the Clintoris and the Gooch.
What's up, people?
It's been an interesting first season, and, fireworks this episode.
Oh, man.
In not just in what happened, but also on the scoreboard. So we're going to go with the one person who completely shit the bed this week. That would be myself. I said the only points I got so far with my 3 points here was that I did say that Grogu would not be with Mando at the end, and he was not with Mando at the end. I said that Gideon would be the victor. No, he was not. Cara Dune did not die. Gideon's number one will turn on him. It would be Sabine. She just kind of dipped out. We can get in that later.
They showed her.
Yeah, we can get it later. We can do it later because I agree too. I think she kind of snuck out during the gunfight. Or
something weird about her. So I said that Fennec Shedden would die. She did not. I said that Boba Fett would die. He did not. And then I said that Grogu would be visited by Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. He was not. So I only got 3 points there. Coming up next, number 2 in this episode would be the Gooch with a massive 12 points. I think that's the highest you scored all season.
I think so, too.
You said that Grogu would be returned to Mando, which he was. Mando did end up getting Grogu. Didn't stay with him at the end, but still. A Jedi would show up at the very end. Motherfucker showed up. You did say that Mando would fuck up Gideon, and he fucked up Gideon.
Yeah, he did fuck up Gideon.
You said that
I was surprised how well Gideon handled himself, though.
Me too. I mean, it was.
We'll get into that too because I got some theories about that. Some guesses. You said that Gideon's superior officer would take over for Gideon. He did not.
No, I did not.
And lastly, you said it would be a space-based episode on Giancarlo's ship, and it was. Yeah. So you finished strong there with 12 points, and then to the spoils go the victor. Is that how it goes? I don't know what that term is. Anyways,
to the victor goes the spoils.
Yes, to the victor goes the spoils. So at the end of the episode, Grogu would not be with Mando Clint. That's what you said. You got your 3 points there. Gideon would survive the end of the season. He definitely did, even though he did try to pop one through his own brain.
I was worried. Oh man, I was
when I saw that gun point up, I was like, no, don't do it. You said a Jedi would save Mando and company from the Empire. Definitely did. It was a space episode for sure. That's 3 points there. And the only thing you didn't score on was that Grogu would be spoken at least 3 times in the episode, and he was not.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Before we go into finals, there were a couple of season longs that we had to touch up on. Clint, you did say that Luke Skywalker's name would be mentioned this season.
It wasn't. They didn't say his name.
They didn't say his name.
And I want to talk about that too. I want to talk about that too because there's a lot.
I was like, please, Din, please ask him what his fucking name is.
There's some interesting things I think could have happened if he would have been like, I'm Luke Skywalker, or even if he we'll get into that later. Let's see. Gucci said Mando would fall in love with Ahsoka. Obviously did not happen. Sasha Banks not Sabine Wren. Clint, let's see. Let's see. Boba Fett this season. I think that was it. There was one last one that was outstanding. I only gave myself a half a point for it because I said that the Mandalorians, which would be the Death Watch and the Night Owls, would be versus the Dark Trooper Project. It really wasn't. It was basically that's 2 chicks.
That's full points, Devo.
No. Mando's not even technically...
We don't know who else is in their group. It could just be them.
But
we don't know that
episode,
as far as the show goes.
But that episode, it was just Mando and Bo and fucking Sasha Banks. I forgot her character.
What happened to the guy, by the way? Why wasn't he in the episode?
I agree. I'm like, we're the third guy, dude. You just fucking
don't know if it's a story thing or if it was just like a scheduling thing.
Couldn't get on set
or what, but maybe it was just 3 Mandalorians or too much because even Boba dipped out. So but that was at least part of the subterfuge to be able to get on the ship. So so with that, let's go ahead and go into our final scores of the season. Gucci powered in through, coming in third at 37 points. You and I had a rough couple of weeks at the beginning there, but then
we did.
But then we started picking up some steam. I came in second at 41.5, and then taking the championship title for this season is the Clintoris with 64.5 points.
Wow!
So congratulations, my friend. This beer's for you.
Yes, my little last sip is for you too.
I want to try to find like some sort of like championship graphic belt I could put on your fucking.
That's what we need to do.
And then we'll pass that around each season for whoever wins.
It was funny because I feel like the first week we all were like just way the fuck off.
Yeah,
and then after we got a couple episodes, everyone was sort of like. You could start to see...
man. I was like the first 3 weeks. I got almost no points. I think I got like 9 points out of those 3 weeks, and that's terrible.
You had 7.5 points those first 3 weeks.
There you go. See, it was. I mean, come on. It's terrible. It's terrible. So
if Clint,
I was really high though. So I mean, some of those things were
fair enough. Clint crushed it in the third episode, and then from there it was just impossible to catch up.
Yeah,
and then he had another really good one on chapter 13. But other than that, it was basically, like chapter 12. Even, right? I had 9 points. He had 7.5. Gooch pitched a shutout. I mean, the negative shutout, but still. And then even then, like chapter 14 was, fucking Clint had 7.5. Gooch had 5.5, and I had 4.5. So we were all right there until the very end.
I wonder what would happen if we like put in negative points. Because some people, but I mean, like, remember Gucci was saying some of us were just making a ton of picks, and I think if you get them wrong and he had negative points, maybe the scores would be closer. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing is though is that I think there's one of those things where we have to put a limit to it. All right, there's like three main picks. All right, that's what you got to do. Otherwise, it's like you just make a bunch of bullshit up, and then you literally end up with negative points the whole time.
Yeah, but if we're only like, all right, you get 3 picks, and it's like. How often do we get like? I mean, Clint got 3 picks at least every episode, but then he's the only one scoring points, Wow. And for me, I think what I like about this.
I agree. I just don't think we should go negative. I mean, but there should
totally,
be.
Yeah.
We just can't go and say like we have like 10 predictions for one episode. You just can't.
5 was good. 5 was a good number.
There has to be like some sort of, or like after your first 5 or something. Like
for me,
every other one might be like a quarter of a point. Or something.
To support that, I think what's beneficial. I think we did a really good job of it this season. Is we weren't doing like bullshit sort of. I mean, I did one. I think Clint did one at the very beginning. And that was really it. But it's like, this person's going to breathe 14 times or, something like that, It was stuff that was important to the plot. It was large, overarching story elements that we were all guessing on. And I think that's where we all, we either scored big or we got, burned down in flames. And I think that was the fun of it. And, it's amazing to me how I even scored some points because, I'm terrible when it comes to this sort of stuff. And obviously, I was like, there's a bit of the nerd in me that's like, I really want to see this, Boba Fett dying and shit like that. But obviously, that's going in a completely different direction now. So
obviously, yeah.
With that, again, congrats to you, Clint. But I think we have to now go into chapter 16, the rescue, and just talk about the fucking. Like, the first thing Gooch texted me on Steam was just epic. Capital letters, epic.
After I watched it, it was epic.
Can we just... Luke fucking Skywalker, man?
Yeah.
Let's just get the cat out of the bag. Luke fucking Skywalker!
When we were watching the episode, it's like, because we make our predictions on who it was. Because I think we all knew that whomever Grogu reached out to was going to come and show up, right? And even on the internet, everybody had their predictions on who it was, and I know Mace Windu was a very popular one. But when that X-wing came in, and then it was
Luke.
But when the X-wing came in, I'm like, okay, I immediately thought it was the Asian pilot and his homies, they were coming in to save the day, right? I'm like, oh, cool, they were in the area and they recognized the Empire, so they come in. But then
she said there was only one X-wing because those two there was 2. But there was the Asian guy and his friend.
Because when I first saw the X-wing, I'm like, okay, the New Republic's here, but then it was just the one X-wing. I'm like, no way, it's not going to be him. It can't be him. And then as it's pulling in, it shows the video feed, and I looked at the droid. I'm like, it's an R2 unit. It can't be him. It can't be him. And then the cloaked figure walking, and you only see his back. Once it happened, like it's.
Well, they showed the glove. Once they showed the glove, I was like, okay.
No, once they showed his black cloak, I mean,
I'm like, it's Luke Skywalker. I'm like, they did it.
That's the cloak from the Return of the Jedi,
Dave,
and the subsequent comic books and all the stuff that was leading up to it.
Yeah,
that's what he wore.
The fucking, I mean, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they just pulled the dick out right on the table and they said, here it is.
But in reality, when I started thinking of it, he's the only one they could have brought in.
Yeah,
it really makes sense, right?
It makes sense.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah,
it really does. The only one that makes sense.
And then like
I just don't think that any of us thought that they would go there. Like, we're like, oh, it makes sense. Luke is the one that makes sense, but we're like, they're not going to bring Luke in. He's too big, right?
Exactly. That's what I thought. I'm like, I think it's one of those things where it's like it was too obvious. It made too much sense for it to be what they actually put in. You know, it's that weird thing. It's like, okay, they may throw in. Another thing I may have thought it would have been like the guy from the new game that came out.
Fallen Order, yeah.
So that was the other one because it might have been him. But then once they showed, the X-wing and R2D2, it was like, oh, it's Luke.
Yeah.
And then of course once the green lightsaber
comes out, and then
he's
gloved hand.
What are they made of? Beskar, whatever. Wow.
He was slicing him in half.
He was slicing him in half. Not like this. Like the weak points. Not through the weak points, but they're like literally half this way.
Dude, I want to see this. Go. Yeah.
One question before you talk. Can you tell me, has anyone else ever taken a fucking droid and force choked it?
Yeah,
crushed it like that.
Yeah.
Who?
Not in the movies.
Not in the movies.
Because I've never seen that. I was like,
books.
But so, who's the dude that did Samurai Jack? Gaten Tverdovsky or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but he had a 2-season run of the Clone Wars. And it was a small animated series, and that was when they first introduced General Grievous. And one of the episodes was Mace Windu, and he was just surrounded by these super battle droids. But he was pulling shit like that, like it was seriously like an army of super battle droids. And he would like look at them, and then he would squeeze his hand, and their heads would crush, and then he would open it, and like other ones would like blow up, and then he would use their pieces to attack other battle droids. It was bonkers.
Yeah.
So they've done it in the cartoons.
I'd want to say that maybe Obi-Wan did it to one of the lesser droids too, because I remember seeing something like that. Where like
Obi-Wan did a force choke.
No, it's not a force choke. It's just a crush.
Yeah,
it's not a force choke.
It's not. That's what he did because he grabbed onto him and that's a good point, Clint. Because I don't think anybody has really done it in the movies or on film.
Again,
because they always make such a big point about how the Force is with the living things and blah blah. But then if you can move objects with your mind, like you might as well be able to crush a goddamn robot with your mind, right?
Look, I know. I'm pretty sure Luke has done it like in the books. So
dude, that was unbelievable.
That's
man.
why.
But that whole scene, like the second he walks in, and then you see that cloaked figure, and then a lightsaber's going around. Bo-Katan's like it's a Jedi. Like from that moment on until he makes it to the bridge, like the whole sequence reminded me like it was basically the Luke Skywalker version of Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah, which one's better, Devo? Which one was better?
I don't know because Luke was longer. Luke,
I like this one. It was really cool. Even like the funny thing is that like they didn't want to open the door to him. Like I don't want to open the door to him.
Yeah. So with Luke is he had more of a mastery of the Force in this one. He was using like containers to smash droids and throw them around, crush them. And like the things that this fool did with a lightsaber in this episode was just like so great. You saw some really cool stuff in like Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, but like the movements this fool was doing, like he would like block a bolt, spin around to go to swing and attack, but as he's swinging around, he'd bring his lightsaber behind him to make a block, and then bring it back for a slash, and then turn around and do like just the pageantry in this fool's like ability was just like like I think this did a really good job of just cementing the fact that Luke Skywalker is the baddest Jedi to ever be.
Yeah.
Better than Anakin, dare I say even better than Yoda, better than Mace, Obi-Wan, all of them. Like Luke Skywalker is supposed to be the dude, like the top of the shit.
Yeah,
you didn't really get that in the classic trilogy, you didn't really get that in the sequels. I mean, obviously in the EU, I mean, this fool's a god, right?
Yeah, Luke is like fuck. Exactly. He's like Goku.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's how good he's supposed to be.
Yeah. And then they kind of allude to it in The Last Jedi. I'm sorry.
Any chance we see more of him in these like Disney Plus, more like Star Wars going forward? Because obviously they did something to make him look young. It looked okay. So they have some actor that they have.
So it was basically what they did in Rogue One, with Tarkin and Leia, and they had a stand-in actor who looked enough like him to where they just had to do a couple of manipulations. Mark Hamill provided the voice.
Yeah, I love
Mark Hamill. And like when I was listening to it on my headphones, you can hear they made his voice sound a little bit younger. Yeah. But the whole hangar sequence of him just showing off his badassery, and then he comes in and like he stands like Luke in the shits, and he's like the way he just talks and presents himself, and like the first thing Mando asks, he's like, "Are you a Jedi?" It's like, motherfucker, I just walked through a hangar with a lightsaber, blasted these fools, moved shit with my mind, crushed these guys without even touching them, and you're asking if I'm Jedi?
No, I'm not a Jedi.
No, I'm not a Jedi.
But then here's another thing, right? Is everybody's standing in that room, and there's Luke Skywalker. This is the man who destroyed the first Death Star, basically destroyed Vader, basically destroyed the Emperor, and these fools don't even know who he is.
Do you think Cara Dune should have known who he was?
I think they would know his name if he said it.
No, especially
but he
because
didn't say it.
Remember the pageantry that they held in the first film, when they first destroyed the first Death Star.
Yeah,
like there was. On Yavin 4, there was this.
Well, exactly. How long ago was that? How long ago was that?
Only 9 years.
Yeah. Well, no. So I think Mando is 10 years after Jedi, and A New Hope would have been like what, 3?
I looked at it. I already looked it up.
So how old is Cara Dune?
Between New Hope and Return, there's 4 years, and between Return of the Jedi and Mando is 5, so it's 9 years. It was 9 years difference.
And Cara Dune's old enough to at least be serving and not on Alderaan when it blew up.
Yeah, so she's definitely old.
And they even
so she was like 21. She's like 30. If she was 30, she's 39.
So you think she would have been there and seen him.
And they alluded to it to where like the tattoo, the teardrop, is a symbol of Alderaan. You know, Alderaan's destruction. And the pilot on the Empire knew what it meant. I would assume that Luke Skywalker would have known what it meant, and then he could have been like, "Oh, you're an Alderanian, just like my sister, Leia Organa, leader of the New Republic. You know, I'm her brother, Luke Skywalker." Like that could have opened something up. But then it's like, I don't know. It was just weird. Like I kind of felt like if they would have made it known that he was Luke Skywalker, other than like the fan, because the fans obviously knew who it was.
Fans will know, yeah.
But I feel like if the people in the bridge would have known it was Luke Skywalker, there would have been like a sense of like calmness, you know, like maybe some closure there. Maybe Mando wouldn't have been so butthurt about letting Grogu go. Because like at that point, like I mean, Mando doesn't really know who Jedi are, but he has to be aware of like who the person was that destroyed the Death Star and who the person was that destroyed the Emperor.
Well, you got to think about it this way. I mean, the Empire, it put like this whole like propaganda to like make sure that no Jedi have been known ever. Like that was their main thing, right? To eradicate Jedi from the galaxy. Right? And apparently they did it extremely well, to where it was like, I mean, although like the Jedi might have been like a mythological type thing to people, it was kind of but they didn't even know what the Force was. But and then when again, even throughout the other movies, people didn't know what the Force really was either. I mean, they would say it out of like, you know, out of good luck or something, or like a Gesundheit type thing. Why do you say Gesundheit? That's the type of that thing. You said, "May the Force be with you." Type thing, like have a good have good luck.
And even Han Solo says, "Ancient weapons, hokey religions." You know,
exactly right.
They made it sound like it was so long ago since like a Jedi had ever even been seen. Like it was almost like at that point it was almost the lore.
Yeah, and of course, what's her face? The leader of what is the Mandalorian princess? I don't know what her name is.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. She like knew that the Jedi killed or destroyed Mandalore, right, and then the Empire came in to literally finish it up later, but it was really because the Jedi are the ones that weakened the Mandalorian so much. But even so, I mean, I wonder if that's why she didn't want to open the door at all.
Yeah.
She was. I think she was literally scared of
Probably.
all of them was.
So let's go into our probably for me, my most favorite villain in any Star Wars, Moff Gideon. This fool is like knowing who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. This fool, he is a student of Grand Admiral Thrawn. The way this guy calculates everything, the way this guy, like, he even told Mando, he's like, assume I know everything.
Yeah,
and the way he plays him in the cell too. He's like, I just want the kid, and then Moff Gideon's like, okay, so here, just take him. I have enough of his blood. It's fine, and we'll just go our separate ways. And then Mando's like, okay, that's kind of easy. So he goes to get him, and then what happens? Starts slicing him up with the fucking the shit. But the part where Mando got the upper hand on Gideon, and Gideon said, "You're sparing my life. This is going to be interesting." For me, that was very much an echo of Revenge of the Sith when Mace Windu had the upper hand on Palpatine, and I will take this to my grave. I will die on this hill that Palpatine was playing Mace Windu because he knew that Anakin was on his way, and that was the point that would turn Anakin to the dark side, which it was. That's when Darth Vader was born, because he had to make that choice to save the man, to save his wife, and turn on the Jedi Order. And he was able to play everything up until that point and make it happen. And I feel Gideon did the same thing, knowing that he would get some sort of perverse joy out of Mando and Bo-Katan now having to battle each other for the right to rule Mandalore.
Oh, okay, I see that. Yeah, all right.
Is he
like?
Because even when Mando walks in with the darksaber, and she's like, "What happened?" You know, and then the dude's like, "Oh, well, here you can have it," and she's like,
"Yeah." He's like, "I don't give a fuck. Fucking take it."
Yeah, he's like, "Take it," and then Moff Gideon's like, "But she can't." And then he starts just playing his game. I'm like, dude,
that's funny.
That's a dude that, like, he knew what he was doing.
I know, and the funny thing about it is that up until the monkey wrench get thrown into the works, and that monkey wrench was Luke.
Yeah. Oh, and then, that look he had.
And that look that he was like, you saw his face go from like elation of like playing Mando, and then and then I'm fucked.
Yeah, because he even does this thing with like his eyes start shifting. He's like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like, that's the only time in these 2 seasons where you've seen him panic at all.
Panic at all.
He was gonna kill himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he was gonna kill himself. That's how perilous he felt like it was. In that moment.
So what's interesting now is going into the next season, which we'll get to. Mando and crew now have Dr. Pershing, the clone scientist, and they now have Moff Gideon. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. So we're not going to do any predictions for season 3 because we still have a whole calendar year until that even happens. But we have to talk about the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy, in that green, in that orange, that flies the Slave One, Boba Fett. There's some interesting things that happened to him at the beginning of this episode. When Bo-Katan was like, "I've heard your voice 1,000 times."
Yeah.
Like she was like, you're like basically putting him down like you're nothing but a specimen.
Yep.
The fucking bug. He handled himself pretty well against fucking Sasha Banks. She tried to do a Hurricane Rana on him, but he still fucking tossed her around through the table. And that post-credit scene, like when the episode ended and Luke had Grogu in his hands, the door closed, and then the credits started. You didn't get any of the art like they do in every other episode. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but it's somber, because Din Djarin loses his best friend, loses somebody he's really caring about. And then one thing that Disney does is once the art ends and it goes to the regular credits, it'll shrink down the credits and tell you, like, oh, here's the next thing you should watch, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't doing that. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why would they not be doing that? Like, what's the special about this? So, like, I was almost ready to turn the TV off, but I'm like, I'm gonna wait it out. And then all of a sudden, the last credit goes off, and you see, boom, the binary suns. I was like, what is happening now? You see Jabba's palace. You see fucking Bib Fortuna, fat as fuck, sitting on the throne. You see a couple Gamorrean pigs.
I mean, he got super fat, right?
I don't know how big that fool. That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, that fool was just fucking
living the
gorging himself. And then in a scene not too dissimilar from when Leia first entered the Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi, Fennec Shen blasts her way through, and then Boba Fett or Bib Fortuna is all freaked out, and then here he comes walking down the steps. You know, our homeboy who fucking bounced at the beginning of the episode, Boba Fett, quickly takes out fucking Bib Fortuna, claims Jabba's throne in Tatooine. And as the camera's panning out in a very King of Conan-esque image, Boba Fett is now technically, I guess, the crime lord of Tatooine. So it was announced that there's going to be the Book of Boba Fett coming in December 2021. Now, my question to you guys, do you think Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be the continuation of Din Djarin, or we're going to get a break from that story, and Season 3 of The Mandalorian is going to be the Book of Boba Fett?
I don't think so. I think The Mandalorian is so... It's like... I mean, I don't know what they're going to do without the baby Yoda. Because, I mean, it was such a big part of The Mandalorian, I guess. But
I think no, it's clear what they're going to do with that.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, what is he? Is he going to go straight? He's going to be a straight up bounty hunter again, or a mercenary? That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, he's got a bigger problem on his hands. Like he's got this lady who wants to be the fucking ruler of Mandalore, and he's got her darksaber, and she can't get it unless she defeats him in battle. So that's a whole conflict that's going to happen.
The problem is, I think he's just going to let her defeat him. I mean, he doesn't care about it. That's my thing.
But I think what might happen is, there's always been this sort of, I've had this feeling that he's always still been kind of like searching for who he is in these two seasons. And then once they introduced the Night Owls and he learned that they're not, like, his clan, his sect is not the only sect of the Mandalorian heritage. Yeah. I think he's going to end up going back to Mandalore. Not predictions or anything, we're not doing that, but I think what's going to happen in Season 3 is he's going to go to Mandalore, realize that it's not a planet of glass like everybody's been saying these last 2 seasons. And then,
but back to your. I don't think the Book of Boba is going to be Mandalorian Season 3. I think the Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be Mandalorian Season 3, and then Boba. Dude, they released like 100 other fucking TV shows, so I mean, but the Book of Boba is going to be one of them.
But they had never announced Boba Fett as its own separate thing, which maybe they were saving it for this to be like a bigger impact. But the way they set up the Mandalorian is you've got the Mandalorian. It's Chapter 1, Chapter 2, chapters inside of a book. Maybe the Book of Din Djarin. He had 2 books that were, or maybe it was 1 book with 16 chapters. Now we're going to start a new book in the Mandalorian series. Maybe that can go 8 chapters. Maybe that can go 16 chapters. And then maybe we're going to go into the Book of Bo-Katan after that, which is going to be about Din Djarin versus Bo-Katan to become the ruler of Mandalore.
Oh, I see what you mean. I hope not.
I actually tend to agree with Devo because I think I was searching around online before we started recording this, and even on like articles and even Wikipedia, it's still unclear to the public whether or not the Book of Boba Fett is actually Season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, right.
I think before this episode aired, they had already announced that Season 3 of The Mandalorian would start in late December 2021. So where you're going to have both of them running simultaneously? Probably not.
Oh, maybe
right. I wouldn't think so.
And the title of the show is The Mandalorian. It doesn't necessarily mean it's Din Djarin.
Yep.
And I feel like now that Grogu is sort of out of the show, I'm guessing he's dead by episode 7, killed by fucking Kylo Ren.
Hell yeah, he is.
Unless somehow he got away. I'm assuming that's what happens to him, sadly. But the way that they leave it, like Din Djarin doesn't have a thing to do now. He just has the Darksaber and he's in this predicament with Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And like, I think we may go away from that for a little bit of while and let people breathe and let people wonder about it. And I think it's healthy for the story.
Yeah.
And I would actually not be opposed to it. I actually would be really excited to be like, okay, we're going to get Boba Fett for 1 year. And that gives them an opportunity to
I see. Okay.
let the characters breathe and work on simultaneously season 4, which would be, like Devo said, maybe the Book of Bo-Katan, which I think would be fucking awesome. Because at this point, unless Din Djarin's going to end up being some sort of like Riddick character that you saw in Chronicles of Riddick, where he's this like unknown guy who just stumbles his way into like these political dealings and then end up being the fucking king of it all. Unless Din Djarin's going to be that guy, he really doesn't have a purpose in the overarching scheme of the story anymore now that Grogu is gone.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he's not really a bounty hunter anymore, you know? So I would be fine with it 100%. And I think I really was happy with the way that they left it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was happy with that. And I feel like even if that was that's all we get of Din Djarin as a lead character, I feel satisfied.
I completely agree.
I don't know.
A friend of mine was telling me that Pedro Pascal was signed on for season 3 of The Mandalorian. So, not sure if that's a leading role. Maybe he's going to have a cameo appearance or two, or he's going to come in. But I've also seen people talking about how maybe it's just like wishful thinking where they want Mando and Grogu to come back together, but it's going to have to come at the completion or at least more an advanced training of Grogu's Jedi training. So there's going to have to be a time jump. And you can achieve that when you have a season, maybe 2 or a season and a half of the Book of Boba Fett. So you can have Boba Fett, becoming this crime lord of fucking Tatooine, and then maybe he goes up against Crimson Dawn, which is Darth Maul, and then you bring Darth Maul back for that. But then that would allow you to be able to do a time jump without having any sort of like crazy consequence.
Do you guys know if like Jon Favreau already is writing this, or some other person? Some other person that I'm very wary. By the way.
With that, all we really know is that the 2 series, like the New Republic, the Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, are being executive produced by Filoni and Favreau. They're not being written like the stories. Obviously, like I was saying in the last couple episodes, where I think now Filoni and Favreau are like the heads of Star Wars. I have a feeling that everything is going to go through them, and they're going to make sure that all the the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. I don't think they're going to allow a Last Jedi, so to speak, to happen again, where it just took a complete fucking right turn from what everything was going to happen, just because original plans fell through, so they had to scramble and do something. Same with Solo. Solo was going in a completely different direction, and then Lord and Miller didn't work out, so they brought in Ron Howard. And the movie, it is what it is. It's decisive, but I love it.
I do too.
But I think I have a feeling that especially now, and now that they got all the Marvel heads, they know how successful Marvel's been. They're gonna set up Star Wars like Marvel, and they're gonna make sure that everything is either connected or makes sense. And I think they already failed with the sequels.
But even with the Marvel stuff, I thought if it got kind of watered down towards the end, I'm like I stopped watching the stuff after like Endgame or something, right, or whatever it was, because it was like I think the last great one was Black Panther, and the rest of them were like Ant-Man was fun, but again it felt
you didn't like Infinity War?
It was all right. It's
okay.
Again, it felt like it was too watered down. I really didn't like it. Like I said, Black Panther, Ant-Man 2 was fine, or Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man 2 was okay too, but like I said, I just don't want it to be again like the amount of shows they announced for it kind of scared me, to be honest with you.
Well, this is why I don't have a problem with them going away from Din Djarin. You know what I mean?
Again, the reason why The Mandalorian was so good is because it was the only thing. And when it is the only thing, you can zero in and you can make it good. And now with all this stuff, it's like, Din Djarin may not be gone, but they're gonna just water it down with everything else. It's like, who's up? The Rangers. I'm like, pass.
I mean, you talk about watering down. Like we get the one character who everybody's been pining for since Return of the Jedi. And
I'm not talking about Mando. I'm sure the Mando one's gonna be good just because the way he act. I mean, he did excellent. I'm not about Mando. I'm just talking about the rest of them that were gonna come out. So, even Ahsoka one, I'm like, we'll see. I mean, Again,
that one's gonna have Grand Admiral Thrawn.
It's gonna be the writing. Even if Grand Admiral Thrawn's in it,
but not even that. Like for me, I'm confident because Obi-Wan series is limited. It's helmed by Deborah Chow, who is seasoned.
I don't trust Disney enough, man.
Season
Disney
1 of Mandalorian.
Destroys everything.
Patty Jenkins, who's done great work on Wonder Woman, who I think is Wonder Woman 84 is going to be pretty good as well. She's doing Rogue Squadron. Andor series. I don't know who's helming that, but Clint, you mentioned last week it was the same dudes who did Rogue One. Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Rogue One's good. Wow.
I fucking love Diego Luna. Cassian Andor is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, so I'm super excited for that. For me, I think the only things that are going to be question marks are the animated stuff. Like that droid story, the Bad Batch, and there's one more. I think Blood and Bone. I think was a Star Wars one. I have no idea what that's going to be about, but for the most part, I think everything else is going to be. And then what's nice too is, with the exception of Rogue Squadron, I think there's taking a step away from the movies. We're not going to get the continuing of the Skywalker saga. Maybe Poe Dameron and all of them show up in New Republic Rangers or Rangers of the New Republic or whatever. But they're focusing on these smaller, more condensed stories, and they're all obviously going to be limited runs because Ahsoka and Rangers are going to meet in the middle with Mando, and I have a feeling those three are all going to end at the same time.
Let's just say this: I'd rather be pessimistic and think that they're going to be bad, and then be pleasantly surprised like Mando, than expect too much and like I did with the other three movies. I expected too much.
Good, just don't expect anything.
No, because I mean, I
don't expect anything.
But I was a fan once, and I expected as a huge fan, they let me down so badly that it left me a Star Wars fan, an empty Star Wars fan. That's what it left me. And Mando brought it back a little bit. I'm not saying it brought me back all the way, because even now I still have my reservations about it. But it did make me feel like I was watching a Star Wars film or something that had to do with Star Wars from the original
Star Wars.
Seasons. So it was Star Wars, exactly, not like this other stuff. So
yeah,
that's why at the point where we got
to give the season a ranking.
Oh, for sure.
I had a couple more things to say before we get there.
Go for it.
But before I say these things, I just wanted to say, Gooch, I feel like I'm still just happy that we got more than the original trilogy. Because for so long, that's all we had. And until we got out of high school, I was just like, at least for movies and stuff, you guys read books and played games. I'm not as much into that. Not necessarily reading books and playing games per se, but like Star Wars books and Star Wars games. Yeah. I don't really partake in that. So as someone that just watches the movies and TV shows now, I never thought we were going to get more. So I'm just happy that we're getting this. Even if you seem to be one of these fucking Disney haters who thinks Disney ruins everything. You sound like fucking Joe Rogan and Kanye West, who just basically shat all over Disney. And it's like, I get it why you don't like it, but dude, let's be honest. If you're fucking Devo's kids' age, do they want to watch 1977 shit, or do they want to watch fucking shit that's made? Do they want to watch shit that is made now that looks fucking cool?
I'm not saying anything about their kids stuff. Their kids stuff, man, fine, whatever.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are fucking for kids.
But you cannot try to appease fans, and then I call them NU fans, like people that come in. Oh, it's Star Wars and Disney. Oh, I love it. I'm like, there's going to be a clash there. There's always going to be a clash there, right? And if it's going to be Disney princesses, fine. I have no problem with that. That's what Disney is. That's what I'm used to. If they want to make a Star Wars Disney princess movie, fuck it, let them. Bring it for like the killed kids. I have no problem. But Star Wars was Star Wars was Star Wars. That's what I see. You got to make it to where it's like a space opera, not some fucking whatever the shit they did in the other ones. That's what they brought it back to this. They made it like a Star Wars spaghetti western. Star Wars, a more adult, not even adult, just a more realistic, I guess. I don't even want to say how to explain it. It just felt more natural than the other stuff they released, and I felt it was that way. So it appealed to me in a sense to where not only I'm not shitting on them for their kid stuff. Their kid stuff is their kid stuff, whatever. That's Disney stuff.
No, what I'm saying is Star Wars is still for kids, man.
I understand, but there's got to be a separation to a point where you can.
What are they going to do? Just buy Star Wars and not make anything? People are upset because if you make anything, it's not like the old shit. It's like, dude, I'm not saying that.
I understand it's all about marketing. It's the same thing that happened with WWF. WWF was the marketing way. I fucking hate WWF now. I like reading about it, but in reality, it's for kids stuff now, and so it's not fun for me anymore because I'm not a kid. Yeah, that's how I see it. I'm not a kid anymore. I can't see it that way. I'm sorry, Clint. But as for what Disney's doing with the other kid stuff, it's perfectly fine with me. It entertains my nieces, my nephews, no problem with that sense, you know. But when you go like what they did with the Marvel and like they destroyed what I thought Marvel was, you can't expect me to think that it's going to be good. That's what you gotta say.
I just agree to disagree. I'm not that critical of the Marvel stuff. I think it's great.
I did read the stuff and all that stuff. So.
But I never read the comics.
I know. That's how I see with DC stuff. I've never read the DC stuff, and honestly, people hate the Green Lantern. I fucking love the Green Lantern.
The movie?
I like that too.
Yeah.
That's like some other stuff is bad.
That's a great fucking film for me. But again, I've never read the DC stuff. I never watched it, so I'm not very overcritical about it, and that's I can see where you're getting from there at that point, Clint.
I think the Gooch has the quote of the night: "Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars."
The Star Wars, yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. But,
it makes perfect sense. I know exactly what he's saying. I speak to you, Lucho. I speak to you.
People that know about Star Wars understand what
it's like, what do you want, man? Do you want them to just not make anything so you don't have to hate it and shit?
No,
it's like they're gonna make stuff, man. They're gonna make it. It's not all gonna be good, dude. It's just it is what it is.
Here's the thing. I don't have to watch it.
But some of it is gonna be cool.
So then I don't have to watch it, and I'm not gonna bitch about it. If I don't know about it, how can I say I like it or not? Right?
Dude, for as much as we shit on Last Jedi, and I think it's a shit movie, Luke Skywalker is still fucking awesome in the movie.
I'm
still glad we got it. You know
that
was
the best part in that film, to be honest with you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you just, it's just. But to get back to Mando, I had two things that I wanted to say to you guys.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll be talking about this shit forever. Now, Cara Dune is such a fucking badass. The character. And she proved it again in this episode.
I loved it.
But I don't know about you guys, but it's so hard to enjoy her character now when it's being portrayed by Gina Carano. I just was watching it and I was just like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like, this character's so badass and she just can't fucking stay quiet. And I guess, I guess you don't have to. You're a fucking person in this world. Just because you're famous doesn't mean you have to be quiet. But there's obviously consequences when you do open your mouth and it goes a particular way. Some people are going to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I love Gina Carano specifically for it. And other people are going to be like, well, you fucking ruined the character for me. And that's fine. I just wanted to give a shout out to Cara Dune as a character. Whatever they do with her going forward, the fact that it's Gina Carano is a little disappointing even now because I loved even it in the first, but God, she's a really good character. And
I agree
if it wasn't Gina Carano, I would hope that she would show up in something else. But you know who I can enjoy to the fullest extent?
John Carlo.
Yes. God damn. I love this motherfucker. I want him to be, obviously he didn't die. Even if he's not in the book of Boba Fett, can you just put him in some other stuff, please? It doesn't sound like Giancarlo has any, reservations about continuing to play the character.
Yeah.
So I would just love, he's just so good. And then lastly, the last thing I had is, I don't know about you guys, but in that one episode when they first showed the Dark Troopers, before they ever did anything, I was like, okay, there's like 5. There's like 5 of them. And then in this episode, there's like 50 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a platoon.
I was like, holy shit. Well, it doesn't matter if Luke Skywalker shows up, obviously, but they were probably going to get killed, right?
Even Moff Gideon.
They would have gotten through the fucking, that wall?
Even Moff Gideon, he's like, you had so much trouble against one. Imagine what you're going to have against a whole platoon. Like, he knew they were fucked.
Devo, did you notice the way they explained? You know, we brought it up like.
You were right, Devo. You should have got more points for that too.
No, but that wasn't a.
You said it was three stages, and he mentioned that.
Yeah,
there was that, but for me, it was they would be specifically like infused with like the brains of like former like soldiers and stuff.
Droids.
But he specifically
said they were full on droids.
Yeah, he specifically said like they removed the final weakness, which was the human element.
Yeah, the human element. Yeah,
maybe he lied though. Yeah. Maybe he lied.
Well,
we don't know.
I will say this though, with the battle droids or the Dark Troopers, there's one little subtle hint that I noticed, like I keep seeing it. I've looked at the image and I just can't get it out of my head. That last Dark Trooper that Luke crushes, when he's crushing its skull, like the way that its head contracts, it ends up forming like the form it takes before it's done. It looks exactly like the HK droid from the Old Republic game.
Oh, okay.
HK-47.
Yeah.
Like just the format it was. I don't know. It's just weird. Like that stood out to me for some reason. I don't know why, but so there we have it. Mandalorian season 2 in the books. Great story, great cast, great Star Wars. Continuing Star Wars in, as the resident #1 A certified Star Wars nerd here in this group, it's where I want it to go. Because Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars.
Gooch is the number one. Gooch is the #1 resident Star Wars hater. And he liked it. And even he liked this.
I would say I'm like a Star Wars denier. I'm not a hater.
No, you're not a denier. You are a hater, Gooch. You just can't deny
he's a
how
Star Wars
fucking good the show is.
No, this was good. I don't want to deny nothing.
Yeah.
This was extremely. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, up there. I mean, there was that one. Even the filler episode was good filler. With the spider and stuff like that. I thought that was still a good filler stuff.
You know what I think the main point is that what Devo said is that the success of The Mandalorian has given, what's her name? What's her name?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy has probably entrusted the future of the franchise to Favreau and Filoni.
Well, I sure hope so.
So I feel like if they're in charge and if they are as involved as they were in Mandalorian, they'll be the quality control going forward, I think.
Yep.
And I think the fact that Devo said that they're all limited series means that these are made with a purpose. Yeah. So they should be just long movies, essentially.
Yeah.
And
I don't think they're going to be made with we have a next season coming. Let's figure out what we're going to do. Oh, we have another season coming. Let's figure out what we're going to do. I have a feeling that they're like, this is the story we want to craft, and this is the story that we want to tell, and it's going to take X amount of seasons or whatever to tell that story, so they're going to plan accordingly, And I have the same. That's how I feel that they're dealing with the Mandalorian. It doesn't feel like anything in the Mandalorian is being forced. It all feels very natural. You've got varying lengths in the episodes. Not like they're not like, okay, we've got to fill up 60 minutes of Mandalorian stuff. They're like, well, this episode, this is what we want to tell, so this is how we're going to tell it. Yeah,
there was like they were 30 minutes long. The other ones were 45.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
so
good, yeah.
and it depends on what you need to push the story forward. So and as long as they continue that with these other series, and the movie is the movie. It is the movie. It is what it is. So, but again, gentlemen, thank you for this first season. It was a lot of fun.
I had a great time.
Fantasy TV has progressed. It's very interesting. Congratulations to you, Clint, for taking season 1. We're going to come in with a completely brand new series, season 2, and that's going to be WandaVision.
Man, I have no idea what's going to happen. So
nor do I.
Are we giving scores? Are we going to, for posterity, are we giving scores for the season?
For next season?
No, for Mando season 2, like Gooch mentioned.
Oh, for if you want to. I wasn't planning on it. For me, obviously it's top of the list. It's #1, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You give it 10. I'll give it. I'm going 9.5 just because of the fucking ice episode with the damn fucking spiders and shit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like
I was going to give it a 9.8. That spider episode only subtracted 0.2 from it.
There you go. But WandaVision premieres January 15th. That's when we're going to actually record our episode. But we will have a fresh fantasy TV on the 12th. To kind of prepare our predictions for that first episode. So we'll have a couple weeks off until then. But follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, follow us on YouTube. If you want to listen to us, our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, all the good shit wherever you find your podcasts. Stay connected with us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for WandaVision.
See you guys then.